The problem is exponentially growing. So bond prices are not growing up, down, and yields going up because investors expect Trump to win. It's because they expect somebody to win. It doesn't matter who wins. And I think that's the same thing with gold. Gold again today hit a new all-time record high. In fact, as it's trading this evening, I think it's up again to another record high. We're at 2,778. So we're only $2 below 2780.
In today's episode, Peter Schiff remains highly bullish on gold and silver, seeing them as essential assets for anyone concerned about inflation and economic instability. With gold reaching record highs recently, Schiff argues that the precious metal is sending a clear signal about the economic pressures facing the United States, particularly regarding inflation and national debt. In his view, gold's steady rise isn't just a market trend, but a direct response to increasing fiscal irresponsibility, with deficits ballooning under both major political parties. According to Schiff, the undervaluation of gold mining stocks presents a unique opportunity for investors. Despite high gold prices, these stocks haven't fully rebounded, largely because many investors have been lured toward Bitcoin and cryptocurrency stocks. Schiff believes that once the initial enthusiasm for crypto cools, there could be a significant flow of funds back into the gold mining sector. This shift would reward those who have held on to mining stocks, which he sees as offering excellent risk-adjusted returns, especially for those looking for long-term value. Silver, too, is a key part of Schiff's investment outlook. Although it hasn't reached the same record-breaking levels as gold, he sees it on the brink of breaking new highs. He points out that silver often lags behind gold, but tends to catch up as markets react to economic uncertainty. For investors, he suggests silver as a complementary asset to gold, particularly attractive for those looking for growth potential alongside the stability gold offers. Schiff expects silver to perform well in the current inflationary climate, especially if economic conditions worsen. Now we'll show you the best clips of his latest interview, but first, smash the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you do not miss out our daily recaps. Enjoy the episode.
Almost at 2,800. I said on my Friday podcast that I expected gold to hit a record high by Monday, and it took until Tuesday. I don't think we made a record high, although we might have. We might have made one overnight, I forget, but we certainly, just exploded to a record high tonight. Now, what's not at a record high is the mining stocks. Because of that big drop they had last week on the insignificant Newmont miss, which I've already discussed at length, but the GDX, which is the major index of gold mining stocks, still has to rise 5%, more than that, from here to get back to last week's high, even though gold today is higher than it was at any point last week. That was a huge shakeout. Probably a lot of people that got into gold stocks, unfortunately, got shaken out, and they're going to miss this huge bull market. I mean, the gold stocks will make new highs soon, and they're a great buy. I mean, as good a buy is on gold and silver, and I was stressing that again on the last podcast. In fact, silver is back above 34 again. It's almost 34.50. Still haven't taken out 35. We got close last week, and so silver had a bit of a bigger pullback than gold, and so while gold made a new high, record high, silver hasn't taken out last week's high yet, but it probably will. My guess would be silver will take out $35 this week. Maybe it'll take it out by a big number. And I think the rally would actually be bigger based on this weak economic data if the markets didn't expect Trump to win, because weak data is actually good for gold because it leads to bigger deficits and rising inflation. But the gold stocks are the buys. Again, I would encourage people to be buying these stocks if you are a risk taker. I mean, if you're a very conservative investor, if you can't afford to lose money, then gold mining stocks are not for you. But if you're willing to take a risk, I can't think of a better risk-reward situation out there than the mining stocks. But where I think Bitcoin has had an impact is in the mining stocks, because there it's a whole different, group of investors. The people who are buying gold mining stocks are very different than who's buying physical gold, right? None of the central banks that are buying physical gold are buying mining stocks. Now, they probably should. In fact, that would be smart for them to do that, because if they bought some of these mining stocks, they would own all the gold that's in the ground. And then when those companies mine it, they wouldn't sell it. They would just bring the gold out and just put it in their vaults, right? That would be the smart play for a foreign central bank, right? Instead of China buying up a lot of gold, they should just buy up a lot of gold mining companies, and they'd end up with a lot more gold for a lot less money. But they're not doing that right now. So, but the people who normally would be buying gold stocks are buying Bitcoin ETFs or MicroStrategy instead. So that's where I think you've seen the impact. It's not on the price of gold, it's on the mining stocks. That's one of the reasons that they are so cheap, is because the investors who would otherwise be buying these stocks are not buying them.
In today's news recap, Russia in talks with BRICS over precious metals exchange. Russia is in talks with other BRICS members about creating an international precious metals exchange to ensure fair pricing and trade growth. The country's finance minister, Anton Siluanov, said in a statement on Thursday. Leaders of BRICS countries, which account for 37% of the global economy, gathered in the Russian city of Kazan this week to discuss initiatives aimed at creating alternatives to the Western-dominated financial and trade infrastructure. The mechanism will include the creation of price indicators for metals, standards for the production and trade of bullion, and instruments for accrediting market participants, clearing, and auditing within BRICS. Siluanov said. The BRICS Precious Metals Exchange would rival Western trading platforms such as the London Metal Exchange and would protect trade from sanctions imposed by the West on BRICS members Russia and Iran. Earlier, BRICS leaders expressed support for efforts to increase trade in precious metals among the group's countries in a joint communique issued on October 23. Russia is the second largest global gold producer, and one of its biggest companies, Nornickel, is the world's largest supplier of palladium with a 40% share of global output. All major Russian gold producers are under Western sanctions, which have also hampered Nornickel's operations and its palladium exports, although the company itself is not under direct sanctions. Nornickel and the country's largest gold producer, Polyus, declined to comment on the initiative. Now we'll show you the best clips of the latest interview, but first, smash the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you do not miss out our daily recaps. Enjoy the episode.
That did hit new 52-week highs today were the streamers, Franco-Nevada or Cisco. Those were a couple of stocks that we own. And I thought that the bad news out of Newmont might have gained some attraction for those royalty companies, because they don't take the cost risk. They just get paid off the top line. They get a percentage of revenue, so you don't have to worry about costs going up. And so I thought that when I saw the weakness in Newmont, that might cause some of the gold investors to want to, mitigate those type of surprises by moving money into the streaming companies. And I think they're just starting to go, or Cisco is at an all-time record high. Stock's never been this high in history. But Newmont, Franco-Nevada is still well off its record highs. And so that's a great buy here. I think I own both those stocks. I've owned them for a long time, and they've done very well. But they're going to do, I think, better in the short run because people are not worried there about the cost surprise. But, I think one of the things that I think is significant, and of course, the media paid no attention today to gold's record high. I guess since gold makes a record high every day, it's not news, right? It just keeps going up. What's more important than gold's record high is what it signifies, the warning that it's sending. And that also is falling on deaf ears, and nobody is talking about it. But MicroStrategy stock has been on fire. It's at an all-time record high again today. MicroStrategy has a market cap of 51.7 billion. Actually, it's in after hours trading. It's up again. So it's maybe 52 billion or more. MicroStrategy's market cap is larger than every gold mining company in the world, except for Newmont, which has a market cap of only about 5% higher. So probably before the end of the week, MicroStrategy's market cap will exceed the market cap of Newmont Mining, the biggest gold company in the world. Now, MicroStrategy barely produces anything. I know there's a software business buried in there somewhere, but it's tiny. All they do is borrow money to buy Bitcoin. So they really produce nothing and they have no earnings. Now, I know Michael Saylor likes to talk about their earnings, but they're not actual earnings. They're just Bitcoin going up, right, on paper, right? But they're not generating any actual earnings. They're just leverage play on Bitcoin, yet it's worth more than a company like Newmont that's earning, $3.5 billion a year and paying out real dividends and using those earnings to buy back stock. And they're producing a valuable commodity, gold, and they have massive reserves of that valuable commodity. MicroStrategy doesn't have anything. But what I think is significant, one of the reasons probably that the gold stocks are as cheap as they are is I think a lot of investors who might be buying gold stocks are buying Bitcoin ETFs and MicroStrategy instead. I think that's where a lot of the demand is coming from because investors only have a certain amount of money. And so if they decide that they're going to use their money to buy MicroStrategy or to buy Bitcoin ETFs, what would they have bought with that money if they didn't buy those stocks? And since the way Bitcoin is marketed in the financial media, it's gold 2.0, it's digital gold, it's better than gold, it's the future, gold is the past, gold is worthless. You would think that people are buying these stocks instead of buying gold stocks. You know, a lot of people thought, that Bitcoin would eat into gold's market. It's not. I mean, Bitcoin is still nowhere near, even though it got close to a record high today, above 73,000, it's still nowhere near its record high from 3 years ago, priced in gold. It's still down about 30% from that peak price. People thought maybe Bitcoin will take demand from gold. It may have taken some demand from gold, right? Because we saw a lot of liquidations year to date out of the gold ETFs, but it hasn't stopped the price of gold from going up because the retail buying is a small piece of a big pie when it comes to gold. Right now, the big institutions abroad, foreign central banks, they're not buying Bitcoin, right? You know, even though a couple of sovereign wealth funds bought MicroStrategy just because it's a momentum play. But, you know, the central banks aren't adding Bitcoin to their reserves. And I think a lot of the foreign demand in the physical real market, you still have a lot of gold.
What do you think about Peter Schiff's perspective on gold and silver as essential hedges in today's economic climate? Schiff emphasized how rising deficits, inflationary pressures, and central bank demand are underscoring the timeless value of these metals. With gold hitting record highs and silver poised to follow, he believes these assets are more relevant than ever for safeguarding wealth in uncertain times. Do you think mining stocks are the opportunity of a lifetime, or are you just stacking more gold and silver at all-time highs? Let us know in the comments section down below, and check this video right here because it's a perfect fit for you. I'll see you on the other side.